Designing. Before we start coding, we need to design what we want to create. Imagine I hired a group of construction workers and told them to build a house for me. Well, it would be a ridiculous request without giving them any specifications. For example, how big should the house be? Will there be any front or backyards? How many floors? And how many bedrooms or bathrooms? And so on. And we even need to choose the materials ourselves as well as the color schema. Thus, we are designing the internal and external of our house. Similarly, to develop a software, developers need to be provided with a design. Otherwise, they cannot do anything. When we say design, there are two types of designs. One, user interface design. We call it UX or UI design, which is the look and feel of the product. Two, system architectural design, which is the architecture for how to develop this software from a technical point of view. I would like to give you an example for the UX UI design. If you open our school website, www.cyram.io, and everything that you see here is prepared before the actual coding started. For example, where do we want the company logo? Should it be on the left or on the right? And also, how do we want the color of this Apply Now button? And where do we want the menu? For example, our menu is on the top. Some websites, they put their menus on the left or on the right. This is a very basic example of what is a UI or UX design. UI stands for user interface. UX stands for user experience. And we can talk about what is the difference between UX and UI later down the course, but we sometimes interchangeably use it. UI, UX design. So if you scroll, and we have this section. Here, we also chose what type of icons we want. So in the design phase, we pick and choose and decide what type of icons, what type of image we want. Then we also work on the responsiveness of our software product. Well, everybody is using their phones now or their tablets like iPads. And our designers need to design the software product responsive to different screen resolutions. Well, people are heavily using their phones to browse the internet and to browse through their websites. So, our software product must be responsive enough to different screen sizes. Next up is accessibility. Accessibility is the practice of making our websites usable by as many people as possible. Accessibility is essential for developers and organizations who want to create high-quality websites and tools, as they shouldn't exclude people from using their products and services. Well, what is accessibility exactly? It kind of aligns with responsive design, but accessibility augments beyond the responsiveness of your website because not everyone is the same. There are people with visual impairments, hearing impairments, and probably colorblind. So how are those people going to be able to use your product? Well, there are tools. There are disabilities and assistive technologies for visual impairments, hearing impairments, and color blindness, and probably many others too. For example, for a visual impairment, we should be implementing some assistive technologies like screen magnifiers or screen readers in our website so that when someone who cannot see well simply can trigger the screen magnifier or screen reader functionality of our website and simply have those readers read the content for them so they don't need to struggle with reading. And also for hearing impairments, there are some assistive technologies for hearing impairments like hearing loop, FM systems, or personal amplifiers. And there are also mobility impairments, cognitive impairments. Well, there are many impairments. So we need to implement these accessibility improvements for different disabilities. It's also very common in interviews that interviewers want to know how familiar you are with the concept of responsive design and accessibility. And it's certainly a red flag when you show no sign of familiarity with these concepts. So definitely get these down on your note and do more research and gather some more knowledge on these topics. All right, I want you to go over these terms one more time together with me. First, user interface. User interface is the actual front end of a website or a mobile app or a desktop app, any software that we are interacting with. We're actually interacting with it through its user interface. We simply call it UI. Another term is designer, or more specifically, UI designer. UI designers are people who design such user interface. So these are the people who think about the best user experience and all these accessibility tools and such. Number third, system architect. What the system architect designs is completely different than what the UI designer does, because UI designer designs the look and feel of a software product, but the system architect designs the internal structure of this software. For example, what type of software engineering principles should the team follow? And there are some architectural design patterns. So this architect, according to the needs and type of the product that the team is developing, the architect needs to choose the best software engineering design pattern for this software. And number four, Figma. The Figma is the actual tool that the UI designers use to create the software's user interface for different resolution sizes. For example, for a bigger screen, like your computer screen, and also for your phone, like a mobile device, and tablets. And I can quickly show you how this Figma works. Here's a tool called Figma, and this is the most popular UI UX design tool out there in the market. This tool is very interesting because you don't need to download any software. It's a web application. And just FYI, this tool has been acquired by Adobe just a month ago at the time of this recording. How this works is very straightforward. If you have an experience with Adobe Photoshop or something like that, this is quite similar to it. All you have to do is create a document, and I'm not going to show you the whole process, of course. I just want to give you a brief overview of this. Here, this is one web design. Nobody coded this website. This is just a design. For example, this is a homepage of a website that I myself was designing some time ago. And here we have a homepage design, and we have the logo comes here and some menu and also a little search field. And then we have the header. Then we have a call to action button. For example, like start reading or start or go there, go here. So that's called CTA, which means call to action. And then here, some type of introduction video will be given. And what features this software product is offering, that we're going to give it here. And this is the home page. And then we have another page for this. For example, the preparation page, prep page. When the user clicks on this button, which page the user will be directed to. And the user goes here. And then on here, how this layout should look like for this page. All right. And then here's another page. For example, this is a blog page. So in this blog page, we have right below the menu, right below the navigation menu on top, we call it hero section. And then this is the hero text. And this is the hero search field. Then the blog page looks like this. Cool. So this is how we design it. If you want to see how this could be created from scratch, it's actually quite simple. All we have to do is just choose one of these things. Let's say if it's a frame. So when you choose a frame, there are the options. What kind of frame this is? Is this for iPhone 14 or iPhone 12 or 11 or desktop? So I'm going to choose actually desktop from here. Desktop, and this is for MacBook Pro 16-inch. There we go. So here we're going to start developing our page. For example, I'm going to create a rectangle, and here I can create my rectangle like this, and I can even zoom it and make it bigger. And then I can write my text here about us. And then I can copy this. This is contact. I can copy it. This could be login. And another one, this could be register. Well, Of course, the text is too small, but you get the idea. This is how UI UX designers design the user interface of their software product. Awesome. Now you know how UI UX design works. So next time, when somebody talks about design phase, you can tell everything about it.